Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Wealth Metrics podcasts, where we talk to investors, we give investors tips, tricks, secrets that top investors use to scale their business from the level they are to another level. My name is James Egudive, and I'm the host for this podcast. We have an amazing lady today who is coming to talk to us about online course. She's very good at what she does. She's been in this business for so many years, and she's going to take us through wonderful steps that we're going to use when we want to create an online course. Join me as we welcome Dr. Sonia Murrey. Dr. Sonia, you're welcome, and thank you so much for accepting this invite to come and speak to the investors. Before we jump into the questions, can you just quickly tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, your experience, how you started, and just tell us a little bit about yourself so that our audience can relate with you.
Absolutely, James. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. This is an honor to even be here. I appreciate that. The opportunity to share knowledge and education anytime I can is always my main goal. So I've been doing course creation, developing, helping people discover their passions and monetize them since 2005. So long time coming, but it's been a while since, from 2005 to about, I would say like 2014, I really didn't value my passion or what it was that, I love to do and that I'm so good at. So my mom, quick story, has a nonprofit, and this is where I got my start. So we founded the nonprofit. I helped her do all the 501c3 paperwork, and I don't know if it's the same today as it was back then, but it was a lot. It was a lot. And so we got started on that, and I found myself, building out seminars and youth retreats and all types of workshops that I was putting together, inviting speakers, recruiting volunteers, all of the stuff, like, they say hindsight is 20/20. So all of the stuff that would shape where I am today is kind of like, I went through all that, and without realizing it, now all of those tools and resources and insights that I've gained really play a role. And so what I do currently in my business, 2014, let me back up a bit. 2014, I ended up getting a job teaching at the university. And that is where I realized that course development, creation was absolutely my passion. I got into the online space around 2018 or so, and really started to push my courses. And to my surprise, I did $12,542 in less than 14 days. And so that's when I knew. I was like, got it.
Awesome.
Yep. And so now I run an digital educational company called JumpFirst and JumpFirst Academy, where we teach a lot of, right now, what we're doing primarily is focused on teaching business owners, entrepreneurs who have a vision, right, and are creatives to create their own online courses using your story, what it is that you already know, and share that with the rest of the world. So I'm having a bunch of fun doing it, and also very successful doing it as well.
Thank you so much for that insight. You're actually the best person to talk to our audience about online course creation. In creating the online course, first, let's just even define, what do we mean by online course?
I love that. So an online course, and everybody thought I was crazy getting started coming into this. I was telling people for years that education is going digital, and no one believed me. And now, we are in the midst of a lot of things reshaping the way that we do business, the way that we do education, and everything's going digital. And so online courses really are an opportunity for people to put themselves out there. I mean, we've got so many social digital platforms where we share stories every day. And a lot of what I teach at the university is that in sharing stories, it's the way that we develop relationships, right? Whether it's familial, whether it's friendships, we're always telling a story, whether it's past, the present, or future. And so in doing so, right, like instead of just sharing the story, let's find a way to package up what it is that you know, base your story around it so that you can teach what you've learned through your story to other people. And so that's really, for me, the foundation of online courses. It's not just flat, here's the education, but it's the story that is all encompassing as well.
Wonderful, wonderful, great. Thank you very much. So if someone wants to go into this creation of online course, what would be the first step that they need to take?
Oh my goodness. This is like, I could talk about this all day. So first thing is first is you would need to understand what your passion is and what you're very good at. It's like where passion and expertise collide. And a lot of folks, when you say the word expert, I always get people like, expert, am I an expert? Oh my gosh, I don't know. But your story, your experiences are what make you an expert, right? That's number one. Number two, you got to find your passion. You got to find your niche, your groove, what it is that you're really good at, what, lights you up, what makes you go. And I believe that passion, expertise, all of those things are interconnected with one's purpose. And so when you understand your purpose, when you understand what you're passionate about, then you can figure out what it is that you really want to teach to the rest of the world. But you got to understand that first. I believe that's the foundation to anything that you do in life, and especially in business.
Awesome. Great. So why do you think that first step of first identifying your passion and your story is so important?
That's a good question, because there needs to be meaning behind what it is that you do. I'm a firm believer that we just get one life. And I know it sounds cliche, and I know that, everyone says it, but it's true. When I sat back and I thought about, is this really what I want to do with the rest of my life? This was me at my 9 to 5 just a few years ago, sitting in my cubicle, and, I was very comfy, living a great life. And, I was just like, is this what I really want to do for the rest of my life? Like, I don't think so. So it's like you get one life and you need to be able to live it to the fullest. But I believe that also the reason why all of us are here is that our destinies always cross paths. Like they're all interconnected. And so everyone was put here to be of help and of service and of impact, just in what capacity. And so I think that's the reason we really need to understand our purpose so that we can live a most fulfilled life.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's great. Actually, that's really, really great, because if you dive into anything that you don't have a good reason, when you hit a roadblock, you just give up. But when you have a good driving force, that will push you through. Thank you so much for that insight. The other question is, now we know the first step. You've been able to identify your story that you want to relate to people, wrap it around the cause that you're creating. You know the reason why you're going into that. That's your passion. You want to ensure that you're going into something that you're passionate about. What is the second step?
Oh, I love it. So the second step to this, so through your passion, through your purpose, through your story, you have hopefully gone ahead and identified your topic. And, let me just back up real quick before we get to step number 2 is write the story down, right? Like a lot of people, their stories stay stuck in their head. And I know if you're anything like me, like when you talk to, your siblings or your cousins or your mom, your dad, whomever, a lot of times, again, we pass knowledge through storytelling. So a lot of times, my sisters, I know I talk to my younger sister all the time, and she has a much better memory than I do, clearly. But she always brings up like these past experiences, and I'm like, oh yeah, that did happen, right? And so we need to be writing down our story, documenting our story, so that we can understand the things that we've been through that can possibly serve someone else. And the second step to that would be to make sure that you're identifying your expertise. A lot of people are, using social a little bit, I always say wrong, but it's the way that anyone wants to use social. Of course, it's open to interpretation, creativity, all of those things, and it's great. But if you're doing online courses, there is a way that you need to establish your authority. in a niche in order that people would understand that you are an expert. And so I believe through pulling out your story, through writing down your story, you will be able to see on paper physically, because I'm a very visual person, that you are the expert in this particular area. And that gives you the confidence that you need to go out and want to tell your story.
Awesome. And I really like that. There was a time I had that phrase and it completely changed the way I look at things. And the phrase is, do not create, document.
Definitely.
Majority of the people that we see get stuck because they always want to create. But if you are documenting, you will never run out of ideas. Thank you so much for that insight.
Yes.
Right. So what's the third step? We've looked at the 2 steps. Now, what's the third step?
Step number 3 is audience. So a lot of people, now you've got your expertise established, you're seen as the authority in your niche, and you've established that well, right? You got to lay a very solid foundation to do so. And so I believe in attracting customers, attracting clients, attracting people who want to work with you, who want to delve deeper into your story. Well, a lot of people stop and there are 7 steps. Let me just say, I created this method called the Teach It method. So step number 1, T is for topic. It's an acronym because I'm a teacher at heart. Step number 2 is E is for expert. Step number 3 has to do with A is for audience. And so a lot of people stop at general demographics, especially when they're trying to market an online course. And we can't do that. We can't stop at age, gender, sex, religion, salary. We need to go deep into psychographics as well. And this is one of the core principles of any type of marketing, but for some reason people keep skipping the step. And so we need to understand, how your ideal customer thinks. And I'm not talking about just, anyone that wants to hand you money. I'm talking about the people that you truly want to serve. And this goes back to your purpose, your passion, the reason that you were put here. And so and understanding how your audience thinks, what motivates them, what are they searching online, what kind of cars do they want to drive, where are they shopping, those things all play a part into attracting the right people into your tribe, into your community.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Great. Thank you for that insight. So let's then go into the next step, which is the 4th step. What then is the 4th step?
The 4th step is content. So TEAC, content. So your content, in developing content, most people try to make it very, very difficult. Here's my advice about creating content. Number 1, we've already started attracting the right audience. That means that anytime we're creating content, the content is not for you, it's for the people that you're serving. So we need to understand where the folks that are coming to us, where they're starting from, where they're looking to get to. And then it's simply much easier when you have people pre-enrolled in your courses. And that's one of the things that separates a lot of my programming from some others out there, because I believe in pre-enrollment. And so when you pre-enroll your students, you really get a feel for where they're starting from. You know where they're starting, you know where they're trying to get to, your content just fills the gap. So it's much easier to create content for the people that you're serving when you already know where they're starting from. So I always advise my students, do not start creating content until you have students, or peeps and seats, as we like to call it, inside of my program, inside of JumpFirst. Don't start creating content until you have that foundation laid and you understand who it is that you are serving. And then the other point is, please do not create content from module 1. Start creating your content with the end in mind, right? And I call this the awesome outcome. So think about where your students are trying to get to, what is their end goal, and then work backwards from there. So create your content from the last module and then track back to module 1.
Wow. Awesome. That's good. Content. Right. So if they are trying to create the content and they get stuck, or let's even start again, what's the best way for them to go about creating this content?
Ask your students. Simply ask your students what it is that they need, what they want to learn, and that will give you all the insight that you need in order to create the content.
And if anyone gets stuck, how can they get unstuck?
Ask your students. That is like that. I mean, everyone tries to overcomplicate it, but it is really as simple as that. Like, ask your audience, ask the people that you're serving, what do they need? And
Mm,
that should, pull a light bulb or put a light bulb in your head so that you understand, like, okay, here's what I need to pull out from my story, from my
mm,
expertise, from my
mm,
experiences in
mm.
order to best serve the people that I'm going to serve.
Mm, awesome, awesome, great. Thank you so much. So, what's the fifth step that they can take after creating the content?
Awesome. So step 5 is how to package it. So this has to do with the software, the technology that you need in order to do this. One
Mm,
of the misconceptions that people have about creating online courses is that you need a website, that you need, all the fancy software and all the stuff, the expensive stuff, course hosting software, Teachable Kajabi, those types of things. A
mm,
lot of the times you don't need that. My rule
mm,
of thumb is to use the tech that you already have. Like, don't buy expensive software, equipment, or any of those things until you are to the point where you have a consistent flow of students and you do not notice that charge coming out of your bank account every single month. You can easily use your laptop. I mean, you and I are sitting here having an awesome conversation
yeah.
and teachable moments here, just using the laptop, right? The
Mm,
laptop with a camera and a microphone. And then the other part of that is your sales funnels. So sales
mm,
funnels are definitely key because we want it to be a polished, streamlined process for our students to come through the program. From the moment that they enter all the way to getting to the end goal or the awesome outcome. So
mm.
H is how to package it.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, packaging is key. So, let's look at the sixth point.
I love it. So step number 6 is very simple for me. I is for introduce it. And so a lot of people fail to do this as well, right? Like going back to the marketing, people fail to market properly. I is for introduce it is really the stage where you get to unveil your baby. You get to unveil what you've been working on and
Mm,
actually take the time to present it to folks as a finished product. It's like, the way that Apple unveils the new iPhone.
mm,
All their new products, they're rolling them out slowly but surely, and it gets you really excited and anticipating what's going to be next. I'm still
right.
waiting. I know that they're supposed to drop an awesome update that I've been waiting for this fall. And so the reason I know that is because they take the time and the care to actually present and launch their
Yeah,
products and
yeah.
services. And so I is introduce your course, be excited about it so that you can get other people excited about it as well.
Introduce your course, marketing. Thank you so much. And let's talk about the seventh step.
Awesome. T is for timeline and a little bit of traffic. So here we're really just taking the care to make sure that our systems are sustainable going forward. And so going back and taking a look at our sales funnels, going back and taking a look at how our course is packaged, how we're marketing it, how our students are flowing through that process in order to make sure that, again, it's sustainable, it's succinct, and it is streamlined. Once we
Mm,
have that down, we can start pre-enrolling for the next cohort of students because now we've gone through it the first time and we've gotten all the kinks out, and now it's time to go ahead and continue to build on the foundation that we've laid.
wonderful, wonderful. So you've taken us through these 7 steps to creating an online course. Is there a tool or a resource that people can fall back on that will help them in this journey?
Absolutely. So the major tools that you need in order to really just create the course is, again, no expensive software, no expensive equipment. If you need to record the videos on your iPhone, I mean, my iPhone produces awesome quality
Oh
videos.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, then use the iPhone. Use what you have until you can, again, rule of thumb.
Well, yeah.
Exactly, until you don't notice it coming out of your bank account. So
Mm,
use the equipment as far as the tech that you've got. The other tool that I use to promote, and a lot of people, they really don't focus so much on this, is social media. My favorite platforms are Instagram. I started with Instagram, and my suggestion and my advice is to always, like, jack of all trades, master of none. It applies here as well. We need to master one. And so I
mm,
mastered Instagram, and then I moved into Facebook, and now we're starting to branch into YouTube and LinkedIn and all of those. But don't try to put your attention in 7 different directions, until you've mastered one. And typically, the things that work on one platform are going to work for you on another platform. So just social media, the tools that you already have, the tech that you already have, your expertise, and your willingness to share your story are really all you need to get started in online course creation.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for that wonderful insight. Is there any question that I've not asked you today that you think if I'd asked you that it would have added more value to our audience that you want to share with the audience?
The one thing that I will share is not to be afraid to put yourself out there. That's number one. Like, you got to be willing to share your story. And there's, a difference between the things that you haven't healed from yet that you're not willing to share, right? Yeah. And also the things that, now you're at a point in life where you are willing to share it. The other thing is, don't be afraid to charge a premium price for it. And so when I say premium, I mean $500 or more. Number one, it's going to get you to your income goal much quicker, right? Yeah. We're talking about wealth building here. And so the other thing is that number two, again, it's your passion, it's your baby, it's your purpose, it's the reason that you're here. So you got to be okay with pricing that accordingly. And I know that everyone always hears it, but it's true. When people pay, they pay attention. And so if you're teaching someone something and you want to make an impact, charge a premium price for it. And you can do this even if you're just starting out. I mean, we've all got experiences and expertise that we have paid for in some way, whether it's, I know that getting a PhD for me, there's a lot of student loans to do that. And then, the other thing, we pay for training, we pay for those types of things, but also we pay in years of experience. So, the years of working a 9 to 5 and that experience that you gain. And some of us have paid in other ways too, emotionally, psychologically, and so in sharing your story and sharing your expertise with the world and your experiences with the world, you deserve to package that into a premium price program. So that would be my piece of advice regarding pricing and kind of overcoming those nerves and self-doubt when it comes to packaging that into a premium course.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for all the insights, the tips that you've given to our audience. Just one final question. Where do you see online courses or training going in the future? So what are the areas of opportunity?
Oh my goodness. They are never ending because, like I said, everyone thought I was crazy. My family, my friends, they're like, yeah, right. Online courses, online training, education will never be a thing. Now it is. And so, this is expanding into K through 12. This is expanding into colleges and universities having to expand their reach. And we saw online courses prior to COVID, prior to the state that we're in right now, but now an increase. And in addition to that, we're starting to see even more of a boom in self-education. There are more people now who are choosing self-education over college courses because the return on investment is much quicker. You get to learn what it is that you want to know in a shorter period of time and start profiting almost right away. So I see this, in every single market, education, our job market, careers, like everything's going to expand. And I think we're going to see a lot more entrepreneurs in their own rights inside of online digital education.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that insight. Now, do you just want to tell us a little bit about JumpFirst?
Absolutely. So JumpFirst is my baby. I love it. I'll tell you real quick. JumpFirst was founded on Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And my mom will tell you that I was always a faith-filled kid. Like even as a child, she's like, your faith is incredible. And so I had to build my business on that. And I believe that even when we can't see what's going to happen, sometimes it's necessary, most times it's necessary to just take the jump. So jump first and things, you got to jump before you can fly. And so one of the, things that I teach inside of JumpFirst, again, it's a company, a digital education company, and I am aiming for it, JumpFirst, to be synonymous with digital education in the near future, because it's just a different way to look at education, to experience education, and really to, again, bring forth people's stories, people's journeys, people's passions, what it is that we are put on this earth to do, to be of service to one another. And so I love, love, love the company, the community that we are building. And I'm super excited to bring more folks on and see what it is that we got going on. So you can find us at www.jumpfirst.org or across social media at JumpFirst.org. So JumpFirst.org.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Sonia, for all this insights and tips. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to this edition of the Wealth Metrics podcast for investors, where we give you tips, tricks, and secrets of top investors that will help you scale your business. And I hope that you've learned so much from this. And if you have, please go and tell people about it, share this so that others can also benefit from that. And you can go to wealthmetricsltd.com or you go to JumpFirst and get other resources that will help you. Thank you so much for listening and see you in the next episode.